Hi guys, welcome to Let's Talk BD, the official podcast of the BD School, the first educational platform entirely dedicated to business development. Here we interview business development professionals working in the field every day, as well as startup founders, so they can give you all the insights, tips, and best practices to help you become a better business development professional. Let's get ready for the next episode. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Let's Talk BD, the podcast where we interview business development professionals and startup founders so they can give you insights into their job. Today with me there is Marlou from Aircall. Hi Marlou, how are you?
Hi, nice to be here. I'm good, how are you?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks a lot for being here today and accepting our interview. So we're really curious to know how business development works at Aircall. And of course, we want to know more about your company. So without further ado, I leave you the floor. And can you tell us something more about you and about Aircall?
Yes, of course, more than happy to. So my name is Marlou. So I'm the manager of the business development team for the Benelux market, the DACH region and the Nordics. So very excited, very exciting markets, exciting times. So Aircall is a cloud-based phone solution, and we work with big CRM systems as partners like HubSpot, Salesforce, and Zendesk. So we are represented all over the world, growing massively, I have to say. We have big plans, and we reached our unicorn status not that long ago.
And that is really cool to hear because so when we first got in touch with your team, one thing I told to your colleague is that back in the days in 2014, when I was working for my first startup called housinganywhere.com here in Rotterdam, we actually started using Aircall as our first calling software. Really? So for me, it was really a huge milestone when we got in touch. Yeah, it's really cool. And what's really cool also for me is to see like how, of course, Housing Anywhere grew a lot and Aircall grew a lot. And it's really cool to look back and see how, small and cute we were. And now, we are in the international stage of tech. So that's really cool. Congrats to the team.
Thank you. Yeah, for us also, it has been exciting times. We've been on the market quite some years. But, we really took the time to think things through, what is the logical next step, not move too fast. We like to compare ourselves to tractors in this case, which is a funny thing actually within the company, but that's something for another time. But this is really great, and I said, especially the last year and this year we're having big plans to just expand massively when it comes to hiring and opening other offices.
Awesome. Nice. And at the moment you're based in Berlin, right?
Yes.
Cool. But yes. The team is, I understand that there are other offices already throughout Europe, right?
Yes. So we have basically our main office in Paris. So that's basically the Aircall hub, as I would like to call it. So we are there. We represented in the UK. We're represented in Spain, so now in Berlin. We have an office in the US, in India, and we are also in the APAC area. So wow. We are expanding.
Totally everywhere. So for all of you listening here, I know that there are some job opportunities at Aircool. We're going to talk about that later, but just know that there is an opportunity to live a bit everywhere in the world. You can decide the office probably. We'll see. But great. So thank you so much for this intro. And well, of course, you manage the business development team for the Benelux and DACH region. So we are, of course, obsessed with business development and we want to know more about how you do it. So can you tell us more about how your team works?
Well, I'm really lucky, first of all, to have such an engaged team. They're really, really great. So when I talk about the business development team at Aircall, we really focus on selling our product across the world. When we talk about our regions, we really work hard to build a sustainable growth model, or outbound growth model, which means my team spends a lot of time on the phone, a lot of time on outreach per email, LinkedIn, social selling. We used also tools like Vidyard, for example, to be creative. And this is basically the main focus we have. I would really like to point out that cold calling has been shown to be most effective within the team when it comes to, achieving their quota. But as mentioned before, our team does have the possibility to be creative, such as with Vidyard, making videos, or go on LinkedIn. And this is also what I love to see, their own creativity, making the Aircall story their own. And yeah, sell that, of course, to prospect future clients, as I would like to say.
Awesome. And yeah, so there is always this huge discussion with the cold calling in the specific. So there is like, I think every 2 hours on LinkedIn, there is someone saying cold calling is dead. Now, I know by experience that that is not true. And even if people like really don't like to do outbound and especially cold calling, I do think they're really missing out because, want it or not, it is effective. So, do you have maybe some more insights in that? So, how can you make cold calling effective? Because maybe that's the issue, right? Maybe people don't do it right, and that's why it doesn't work.
Well, I think storytelling is very important, right? And what we really value at Aircall when we reach out is to tell the story about our product, of course. So what value do we bring as well? We don't want to reach out randomly, I would say, to a person or a company where we have no knowledge of, how they're set up, what kind of CRM are they using, right? Because this is also a big strength of us, that we are, again, a preferred partner from HubSpot or Salesforce. So this is something we look into before. We, for example, have the ideal profiles in sales teams, support teams. So before reaching out and picking up the phone, we really do our research. And I think this is where, it makes a difference, that you really say like, look, we know our solution could really benefit your company on a day-to-day basis. Let's talk about what's currently going on, how you're set up, what phone system are you using, what tools are you using. And from there on, we can see if Aircall could be a good fit. So I think that is really something every BDR should do. Research is really key.
Totally. Because I do think also one major problem with cold outreach in general, so not only with cold calling, it's really like not having a clear target. And I think also the major problem is that people tend to assume that their solution is good. Whereas I seem to understand that you also point out towards, making more of a needs analysis and asking a lot of questions before you can assess, right?
Yeah, and I'm happy to see also within my own team that the BDRs sometimes, in the case of a look, after hearing how you're set up and how you're using communication tools, for example, like a phone system, this might not be right for your company. And it's so good to see that they have the awareness of it might not be for everyone. Right. And this, I think, is a strength, because if you sell a solution to, a company that is not right for it or not ready for it, it doesn't really make sense at that time, I would say.
Awesome. Yeah, indeed. And it's really about having this self-confidence also, saying no to certain clients, right? Because sometimes like the pressure of closing deals and getting your quote, I think, really gets in the way of business developers. And that's why that maybe they waste time spending it on the wrong leads or something like that. While I think really developing this self-confidence and self-awareness about really where you stand as a product is really important. And this leads me to a new question, which is like, how do you measure the success of your team? Because of course, in business development, there is a lot, especially when we do a lot of outbound, there is a lot of effort that goes into it. And sometimes we're not always in control of the revenue. So besides the revenue, of course, how do you measure the effectiveness of your team?
So we really measure the success through a quality-driven approach. So the BDRs focus on delivering quality opportunities that help Aircall grow. We really want to create an environment where the BDRs have the chance to grow and succeed while collaborating with each other on different projects. So the success is not just based on hitting their quota, but it's everything they do to collaborate within the company, with other departments, giving internal trainings within the team, how to help each other do better. Again, we have so many different teams working together. So, you know, we work also together with marketing, with partnerships, with account executives. So how can we do better? And this is also really what we notice, and make sure that this is a part of their success as well.
Oh, great. And that's, I think that's also very important, you know, to really foster this internal collaboration. So how do you do it at Aircall? Do you have maybe some meetings or some processes in place to facilitate this exchange?
Yeah, so we really support all creativity on these cases, right? So what I try to support within the team as well is to set up meetings with different departments within our markets, because we really like and tend to work very closely together, as said, with partnerships or with marketing or with account executive teams, to see, okay, what is our next step? What do we envision
of internal communication? Like it can really destroy a team, because if you don't have communication with your account executives, with your marketing, sometimes even with your product team, it becomes really difficult for you to go after opportunities. And then of course we know that people don't like to waste their time, so if they see that their input is not really valuable for the company, they're gonna move on to another company. So yeah, very happy to hear. And so talking more about cold calling. So of course, as we said before, it's a huge topic of conversation whenever it comes to business development or sales and so on. So what is your, maybe if you could give us some, you know, insiders tips on how to set up a good cold calling strategy that is almost guaranteed to be successful, what would they be?
So we, you know, as mentioned before, we do a lot of research before, right? So we map out different accounts where we consider many factors, as in the use case. So this, for example, can be a sales team support case, customer success. It can be anything related to phone services within a company. We do have seen, of course, a lot of success within sales departments using our solution support. So this is what we look for. So is there an actual use case? Is there something we have done in the past? Is this something we can really support with? So that is one. The persona is a big one we research. So this can be a sales manager, a sales director. This can be an IT persona. This can be a support leader. So this is where we look at as well. And then the industry. So every industry is different. We are not excluding any industry, I would say, but this is something we do really look into. And why? It's just because we have seen in specific industries, we have been very effective, and they are looking for solutions like ours. So this is what we use as a strategy for cold calling.
Great. And then in terms of more like, you know, making the life of your team easier. So of course you mentioned before that it's really important for you that your team really makes the Aircool story their own story. I also think it's very important because it's never a good idea to have, you know, a script that people have to, you know, remember by heart. But how do you make the life of your team easier? Do you have maybe some scripts or something like that that people can refer to have at least a general idea?
Yeah, we do have a base sort of script the BDRs always can come back to. But you know, as mentioned, I do really encourage them to use this as a guideline for their conversation, but make it their own. Yeah, scripts, again, you know, it somehow more or less can sound like a script when you're on the phone, when you're just reading out the text. And we love for them to really be spontaneous, add value, and listen to the prospect, right? Not every conversation is going to be the same. Not every reaction is going to be the same. So when you strictly follow a script, it's probably not going to work the best. So that's why we always say use it as a guideline for your own story, but they do have the freedom, of course, to be creative. when using cold calling and also for future opportunities and to see if it's matched, there are certain criteria we look for in a discovery call, which is also mentioned in the script, to really see, okay, what is the current pain point, I would call it, for the current customer or prospect in this case. So what can Aircall do to solve this problem they're currently having? So in order to figure this out and to see if we can really benefit the organization, we do have in the scripts, as mentioned, a line of questions. But again, they're free to use their creativity in how they're going to ask this.
Great. And so let's take the example, in which someone does really a lot of cold calls, and they have this long list of leads, but even with all their cold calls, they don't manage to get results. So it's really a big problem in the industry in general, I would say. So what happens at Aircall, like, did you maybe identify some common mistakes that your team makes when they don't manage to get through, with their calls?
So we use coaching functions that we have built in to listen back to the calls and review what went well and what improvements could be made. We always encourage the teams to find new ways of selling if their current way is not effective in this case, but also help them, or at least get help from their peers to get any tips and tricks, what works best for them. So we have team meetings where we go through approaches, and this can be cold calling approaches, emails, and to see, okay, there was a situation last week, I had this call, we can listen back to it all together, or if I have a one-to-one, we can listen back to it, and like, okay, when you hear this call, what do you yourself think could have gone better, or what would you have done differently? As we do really believe in a coaching culture as well. So I would say if they don't get results, we really go through, what they have done in the past, and see how we can improve that.
Great, really cool. And of course, I'm assuming you use Aircall for this process. So do you have maybe some specific functionalities of Aircall that help you, monitor the progress of your team?
So we have the functionality, of course, within Aircall, but we also use our key integrations such as Gong, also for the call listening. So we can do both, actually. So that's the unlimited functionality that help us coaching and monitoring the teams. So yeah, this is what we do.
Great. And so on another topic, so of course you mentioned you coach a lot your teams, and you really make sure, of course, that they are effective quickly and they are autonomous. And I think this is really a big topic in business development, because literally every manager I talk to, they always say, well, we want our business developers to be proactive. We don't want to, hold their hand for too long. So how do you do that at Aircall? So let's say I'm a new business developer working for Aircall, and what's going to happen in my first month? How are you going to make me successful?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. So in the first 2 weeks of your BDR start at Aircall, you're going to go through training to learn about the product, about the teams you're going to work with, insights, information, of course, the integrations, everything that you need to have a good start. Within the team, we really like to create this buddy system where they can listen to other calls, but also have support from their team members. And this can be language specific, because that helps out when German calls can be listened to by, of course, the German native speaker. This is something we do really encourage. Besides that, we really let them start in a good way by doing role plays, to get a bit of a feeling for it. So do I have the story in my mind? Do I, or can I tell the Aircall story? Do I feel confident? And of course, the first call they will make, it's always I think always people will be nervous. I would be nervous, right? So as soon as they get through that and they get the feeling for it, what we look for is cold call outreach, email outreach, social selling via LinkedIn. And booking those meetings. This is what we really like to see. And I recently hired 2 new people in January, and it's amazing actually to see them just crushing it. Absolutely. We have really, not this handheld approach as you mentioned, but I do like to be there for them, when they need it, as their manager, but also within the team. We chat a lot among each other, help each other out with questions they might have, or conversation that just happened and they have questions. It can be product related, can be outreach related. So they do really have a lot of support in this case.
Awesome. And Marlou, for how long are you managing the business development team at Aircall?
It feels like it's been like just a few days, but I am actually with the company for now almost 6 months. But it's, as the company is growing super fast, the time goes by super fast. And it's been a great experience for myself here as well.
Awesome. And if I may ask, what's the thing you're most proud of in these 6 months? So maybe something your team achieved, maybe a bigger client that they acquired. So what's the thing really that makes you most proud in these first 6 months?
So what I'm most proud of, again, this is a hard thing. So I'm super proud of my team. So we're really a great group. They've been very welcoming to me when I just started. So that was a really warm and nice experience. We are all so different, but come together so well, which makes it always great to just every morning open that laptop, and see their faces, or either in person or online, because some of them are still in Paris. So this is what really makes me proud, and what makes me, I think, the most proud, if I can say it like that, is the culture we have among our team. So when every time when somebody in the team books a meeting or has an opportunity qualified, we cheer them on. Everybody is cheering each other on. We're all celebrating each other's success, and I do feel that this is so important, not just for me, but for everyone, to just feel good and be appreciated, not just by their manager, but also their peers. So this is, in short, my team is just, what makes me most proud, all of them.
Awesome. And I think it's very important for a manager to be proud of their team, and of course be excited by them. And so of course we're going towards the end of our interview. So I would like to ask you, of course, if you have maybe a mini pitch of Aircall. So why should companies use Aircall? And maybe that could be a great way also for your team to improve their pitch. Cool, great, Marlou. And so you mentioned, of course, that you're proud of your team. I think that's really important as a manager to have, a team that you're proud of, and that you're all successful together. And on this sense, of course, I know that you're recruiting a lot of people now for all the different regions. But from a manager perspective, what is it that you look for in business developers? What are some qualities, or some characteristics that make them successful working at Aircall?
Yeah, that's a very good and nice question to have, actually. So what I personally look for is somebody who really fits into the Aircall values, right? That is one first thing that I look for. Also, do they fit within the team? As that we have such a great bunch of people. So even though if you are the strongest performer, if you don't have the right values that we have among the team, it wouldn't work, right? So this is also something I really put forward when recruiting, to really have that personal connection as well, not just only looking at what's on paper, the ideal BDR, but also who are you as a person. So this is really what I look at as well. And of course, how driven are they? Are they willing to stay within the company for a longer time? Are they looking to learn? This is definitely something we're looking for as well, because we really love to have people who grow with us. So that, I think these are the things I mainly look for. Their motivation, obviously, is key, but this always comes forward in the beginning of the call.
Awesome. Cool, Marlou. Well, if I wouldn't have my company, I would almost be tempted to work with Aircool because you make it really exciting. So to everyone listening, of course, if you're interested or curious to know about opportunities to work at Aircool, as we mentioned before, they have a bunch of offices throughout Europe and the world. So you can even pick your location, but do check out where they can reach you. Maybe the career page of Aircool, I'm assuming.
Yeah, or LinkedIn, of course.
Great. So they can contact you directly, or do you prefer?
Definitely.
Great. That's really good, because we always suggest to all our students and our community to always reach out to the person that is going to interview them, or to other colleagues working in business development in the company, because we think it's really important that, you know, just as you mentioned, it's important that people really embrace the values of the company. And we really think that the best way to figure out if you're a fit, it's of course getting in touch with the people working there. So very happy to hear. So everyone, we're going to put some links in the description below, so you can get in touch with Marlou. Of course, check the career page, and also check Aircall, their product and services, so that you can be ready for the interview. Great. And Marlou, do you have maybe any last tip for business developers that are entering in this world right now? Or of course, if you're looking for specific companies to work for, to work with, of course, go ahead as well.
Stay humble. I think this is something a lot of companies are looking for, right? You can be the best team player or performer, but show also, you know, the human part that you have in there, right? People buy from people. This is really something I've learned. So I think staying humble, staying coachable for your manager, or, you know, from other peers in your team, is key to be successful, because I think you're never done with learning. And this is something, you know, I also had to figure out along the way during the many years in my career, that, you know, this is something that never stops. So I think if you want to be a successful BDR, it's just, really connect, you know, with your own story, with your own who you are as a person, and stay close to that. I think that's important.
Great, Marlou. Thank you so much. I can totally relate with these tips. I think it's very important, especially for business developers, you know, to keep being open to learning, especially because business development is a field that goes so fast, and we really need to keep updated with what's going on around us. And I also really like the emphasis that you put on self-awareness, because I think it's sometimes we really forget, you know, to think about ourselves, our values first, and whether what we're doing matches with our values, what I think is extremely important. On this sense, for all of you listening, guys, if you want to improve your business development skills and really have a growth plan for your career, then I do invite you to join our platform. We're going to build a personalized learning plan for you, and then we can help you be more successful, both at Aircall or maybe other companies where you decide to work. Great, Marlou, it was really a pleasure to interview you and to get to know Aircall a bit more from the inside. I'm sure that our listeners got a lot of very good insights to improve their cold calling strategy and to become better in business development. Thank you so much. Any last thing you want to add?
Well, of course, I would like to thank you as well, Lucia, for this opportunity to speak here. And yeah, of course, we are looking forward to anybody contacting us. We're growing massively, looking for many new talents. So yeah, if there is any interest, of course, reach out to me or to our talent agents. And yeah, let's see where it takes us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Marlou. Everyone, I will leave all the links in the description below. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks with a new episode of Let's Talk BD. Have a great day, everyone.